Welcome to the weekly Q&A with Dr. Gray. During this show, Dr. Gray will take questions from the audience and answer them for you. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And now, let's welcome Dr. Gray.
Welcome, everybody. Today we're talking about what's holding you back in life. You know, when we look at some of the issues that people often have, procrastination hits the top of the list. And even when you're not loving, what you're doing is postponing opening your heart again. You know, most people just think time is the biggest healer, and you just let things sit for a while until it gets repressed, and then we can open our hearts partially. But every time we close our hearts, they don't fully open unless we recognize what is holding us back from having our hearts be open, but also in life, what's holding us back? Why do we lose motivation? You know, we start getting into a rut of not being able to move beyond our blocks. So today we're going to learn about these 12 blocks that hold us back from achieving our goals and also from being happy. Blocks that keep us from feeling loving, freeing us to forgive. You know, forgiveness is such a powerful thing. It allows you to open your heart again. And a lot of people intellectually forgive, but they don't fully feel it. The light of love becomes dim. And what we want is to be able to brighten that light up, come back to our authentic self. And our authentic self, really you see it the most, is the part of you that's not mind. You know, mind is very important. Mind solves our problems, helps us understand things, make sense of things. But if you look at a child, I look at my granddaughter, 3 years old, that's authentic self. That's without the mind, because her brain hasn't really developed yet. It's just sort of duplicating and duplicating. Unfortunately, we all end up duplicating our parents' minds, and also our parents' subconscious mind, and also our parents' unconscious mind, which actually has all the DNA programming from 7 generations back. So we've got a lot inside of us in the subconscious mind that controls us, that rules us. Some people liken it to like driving an elephant. And you've got this big, gigantic elephant, and you're driving it. It will go where you want it to go. You feel that you're controlling this huge elephant as you're riding along on the elephant. But if that elephant, it goes into a fight or flight response, if it goes into a stress response, then what's happening is you lose complete control. This is whenever you're stressed, okay, moderate stress, high stress, chronic stress, any of those states, we talk a lot about that. At different levels of stress, different parts of our brain become hijacked. Last week, we did an amazing talk on how our brain becomes hijacked. I really love that talk about the 12 different ways our brain becomes hijacked. Hey, Eva, thanks for joining us today. Good evening there in the Netherlands. Kaylor, thanks for joining us. So basically, we have our conscious mind and we have our limitations of what our parents' limitations were. And every time we break through those limitations, hey, hi from Oklahoma. Excited about this topic. What's holding us back is the topic, and not what you usually think. So what's holding us back is we have these mental blocks, these limited beliefs that give rise to the 12 blocks. So let me mention right away what these look like, and then how do we deal with them? How do we move beyond them? But just becoming aware of these blocks is very important. And they will show up always when you're ready to leave your comfort zone. Whenever you want to do something better in your life, whenever you want to be better. Hello from the Bay, thanks for joining us. So what's happening is when you want more, when you want to be better, what happens is you're going to basically step out of your comfort zone. You're going to have more. But to have more, you have to become aware of what's blocking more from coming into your life. Otherwise, it would already be there. So just imagine that there's this amazing universe that we live in that fulfills every desire that we have, which is aligned with a goodness inside. It's not like desires that are aligned with things that will bring us down, but things that will bring us up, things that will be for our best interest. And also, if you believe this, I certainly do, that we all have an inherent potential. We can call that our inner destiny, which we can seek to find that alignment. You know, when you have an oak tree, all oak trees are different, but you look at an oak acorn, it has within it the whole design of the tree. And according to where you plant it and the circumstances that it's in, it's going to look like a different tree. But the basic blueprint is there. And we all have our blueprint, which is our soul. And as it comes into this world, It has a certain destiny, a certain purpose, a certain potential. And what we want to do is consciously create the environment in our life that can support us in making that destiny be fulfilled. And that's one way of looking at it, is creating the environment. And yes, we want an environment that supports us. But when the environment outside of us does not support us, the solution is then to recognize within ourselves what's holding us back. So it's not the outer world that's holding us back. It's the outer world is just reflecting something in the inside of us. Now, often this sort of relates to what's a very popular notion that was presented in the movie The Secret, in the little book The Secret, which so many of my friends are in and I'm in as well. And it focuses on one aspect of fulfillment in our life, which is manifesting what you want. If what you want is, okay, so what I'm wanting in my life, and if you're feeling worthy of receiving that, if your frequency is, yes, it's coming to me, it's on its way. It's like a practical example of this. When I was just on my last trip to teach a seminar in another country, Kazakhstan. So when I was in Kazakhstan, I gave 3 talks, I gave 1,000 photos, I met all these people, everybody's happy to see me. Boy, was I receiving a lot of love and support. People say, do you get tired of all these hugs and photos? I said, for me, I don't, okay? I can just receive it in. It doesn't, maybe occasionally I get a little sore muscles in my cheeks from smiling so much, but even that doesn't happen anymore. I'm just a sponge. I'll just receive it because I give. See, if you give, then you can receive more. So I'm freely giving. Now, keep in mind, when I say things, there's always a yes, but. We always know that the secret of life is in giving, but it's actually you have to receive to keep giving. You have to be able to receive the results of your actions or what you deserve. For women, it's more being able to receive what you deserve or in the direction of more of what you deserve. You can't just go, oh, I deserve everything. You know, it's just like women will go to these, see it on the movies, imagine it in your mind and go, I deserve all that. Yes, but you have to create it, okay? So the deserving is not to blame somebody else. It's to recognize, okay, this feels right to me. I want this. I deserve this. And then now how practically can it happen? And allow the universe to organize that for you based upon you holding on to opening your heart, feeling I deserve. But one of the key factors, I'm talking to women now, is when you actually feel you deserve something, you feel patient. Patience goes along with it. Belief that it's coming because I deserve. So that's one aspect of it. I just know that there's an entitlement thing that really gets in the way in relationships where we see what other people have and we go, oh, I deserve that. But what if I was to walk around going, gee, I deserve all the treatment that Elon Musk gets for being so rich. Why am I not so rich? And then feel bad and blame myself for that. Or you see somebody who's happy in their relationship and then you go, well, why can't I have that? And then you blame your partner for that. As opposed to when something resonates and you want it, okay, that's key. That's the whole factor is you feel what it is I want. And then when you don't have it, what's holding you back from getting it? That's a key factor. Let me sneeze for a moment. So feeling desire, a lot of people have this big issue, which is, well, you're not supposed to feel desire. They say, oh, in The Secret, whatever. You're just supposed to walk around as if you have. And that can easily go into denial because you don't have. And if you look deep in your feelings, you'll realize that you're feeling a bit upset. You're feeling frustrated. You're feeling impatient. You're feeling critical of yourself or of others. And you might become disillusioned. And then what they do is then they say, oh, well, then that's keeping you from getting what you want. So it's like it's always a circle. And you end up blaming yourself and not believing in it or believing in it and not doing really what it takes to move beyond your blocks. Because one aspect of getting what you want is to be able to feel what you want. Okay, just check in. What is it I really, really want? And then imagine having the feeling of having it. And now what keeps you from fully feeling having it? Because if you can fully feel I have it, then you have it. Okay, so it will manifest. But something keeps us from fully feeling that we have something. And again, I don't want to be airy-fairy here. You know, I want peace in the world. Okay, so it's not going to happen. But what I can do is contribute to peace in the world. I want financial abundance. Well, it's not going to be what Elon Musk has or the people that are billionaires and millionaires. I don't even want that now that I've had that before and lost a lot of it. What I want is just the simple life of being able to easily pay my bills, not be worried about, not being able to pay bills, and having the abundant life that I have. And I do have an abundant life, but it's not extraordinary. It's based upon what my needs are. It's a very peaceful place to be. What I noticed is that back when I started making a lot of money is that I was flying first class. If I didn't get treated in a first class way, I would become more temperamental. It's just like you'll see wealthy people become more demanding. And whatever the case may be, and what we have to look at is whenever you take one step in the direction of having more love, more support, more energy, more motivation, more health, when you start to do something good for yourself, what's going to hold you back is your inner blocks. Something that doesn't allow you to fully feel the joy and happiness of trusting that everything is on its way, trusting that you have just what you need to take the next step of your growth, trusting that I deserve to be loved. I'm not a bad person. I'm worthy of that. That's where that one shows up is occasionally when I'm writing a book or something and I look at a paragraph and go, I don't really think this is good at all. Why would anybody want this? I just give it a break for a little while. I'll process my feelings, or just give it a break and come back and look at it and go, wow, this is really good. This is really good. So it's like time can happen, but also when something's really holding us back, we have to look at what are our internal blocks. So in a sense, it's these blocks, and one of them is like blame, for example. We'll just take one for a second. Blame. Blaming the world, blaming somebody else, blaming your partner. And that's why I can't be happy. Or I blame my partner. That's why I can't love them. I'm so loving. I'm so good. But I resent them. That resentment is blocking your love, and it's blaming that person. They're saying that person is keeping me from feeling love in my heart. And this is sort of paradoxical. I see this with women a lot, but I do love him. I give to him because I love him. I give to him because I love him. But they're not conscious of the fact that when you're giving because you love someone, you're not loving them from their point of view. If you're giving with strings, it's not real love. It's fantasy. It's saying I'm giving and I'm anticipating because I give, I will get back. Let me explain that one a little bit more. This is fake love. Imagine I told you all that, you're a select group of people and you're joining my club here, and so you're all going to get a check for $1,000 every month, or maybe $1 million because I'm the millionaire. There used to be this show where there was the millionaire. He'd go around giving checks for $1 million and see what people would do with it. Thanks, Gigi. Join in. And you get your check and you feel so happy. You're so excited. You feel like a millionaire. Oh my gosh, now I'm a millionaire. And you go to the bank and you cash the check and they say, oh, this check is bad. It bounces. Well, what happened to all your inflated feelings? Gone. It's because it wasn't based on reality, is we fantasize. And so when you're giving to your partner, there's an inner fantasy, which is like, oh, I'm so good, it will come back to me. For women, you have to be careful with this. Because when you give, not based upon overflowing, I'm already getting what I need. And if I'm not getting what I need from my partner, I'm already giving enough to myself. I'm making choices and decisions in my life that make me happy. And now I'm happy and I'm fulfilled. And so now I give to my partner to become happier. Okay. So this is the dynamic, is it feels good to give when you have something to give. But this fake love, and it feels like love. I get it. It's like when you eat ice cream, it feels like it's nutritious and it's good for you, and it's not good for you. And you have sugar sweets, it feels like it's good for you. Smoking marijuana, taking drugs, oh, it feels so good. Why would I not want to do this every day? I remember for me, the first time I did, after 9 years of celibacy and enlightenment and meditation, I was really, really high. I took mushrooms and I went even higher. And I remember saying to myself, why would I not take this every day? I just felt so good. Well, the reason came to me, a little voice came inside and says, because you never get anything done. You're here in this world to be of service. You're here to do something, to get things done. And you can't get things done if you're just imagining you have everything. Because if you have more than everything, you don't desire. And if you don't desire, it's your desire that pulls forth the creativity. It pulls forth the motivation. It's I want. But if you let yourself fully feel what I want, then what's going to happen is you're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel disappointed. You're going to be angry. This was called, in the history, this was called Pandora's box in the Greek history. Pandora's box. Once you open that box and you let yourself feel, I deserve and I want, all the demons come out, and the demons will come out, and the demons are anger and resentment and jealousy and greed and sloth. All these, they called them the, whatever they called them, these blocks that will come out. And so now it's because you were wanting. So the secret is, if you don't want to experience any of the blocks, just stop desiring. But if you stop desiring, you stop bringing light and love into the world. The universe no longer reflects what you want and giving you what you want. So it's like you got to feel what you want, and then you have to be aware of, once I'm feeling what I want, what are the negative emotions that are coming up inside of me that are symptoms of my not believing I deserve what I want, of my not believing I can have what I want, of not believing that I am good enough, not believing that I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be here. I don't deserve it, whatever. So these are these negative beliefs that we have. You can ask yourself anytime you're stressed, okay, what's my most negative thought? And usually it's, I'm not good enough, I won't get what I want, or people don't love me, I'm doomed, I don't want to be here. It's some negative belief, some negative statement. So it's your negativity that holds you back. So wanting more is opening Pandora's box to the power of light, of goodness coming through you. A motivation comes through you. We're talking about what holds you back. What holds you back is you stop desiring. But then people say, well, if you're desiring, you're affirming that you don't have. That's exactly right. This is where everybody gets it wrong. You have to acknowledge, I want something, I don't have what I want. And not having it, what does that make me feel? What's my inner feeling inside? And what's the belief that goes along with that negative feeling? And change the belief so that you don't have that negative feeling. And the key to this, this is where the power really comes through, is to recognize blocked energy, the energy that comes to you through you with desire, blocked energy is released through emotions, negative emotions, feeling negative emotions. Hey, thanks for coming from Cyprus. So the negative emotions is right there at the soul. The soul gives you negative emotions whenever you're thinking is blocking your desires from being fulfilled. So you got all these things together here. You got your negative beliefs, you got your desires, you got your denial desires, you got your defensive desires. You want to get in touch. The brain has to start making sense of this stuff so you can really, truly imagine how you would feel if you had what you wanted. Here's Hillary. Hi, John. I'm a long-term follower of your content. What a blessing to see you here live. I've learned so much from you and seek even more understanding. Thanks for giving your time today. Yes, at John Gray Mars Venus, which maybe you're listening from now or you're not, there's a whole bunch of these talks that I've been giving. And I sometimes ask myself, I kind of go, well, will there be a limit to how many talks I can give? I mean, I do have 26 books, but that's on YouTube. On YouTube, it's John Gray Mars Venus, and you can access. And then you can push around a little bit more and you'll find more. And you can push around a little bit more and you'll find more. It doesn't always all of them come up, but you can definitely find a lot of these wonderful topics. And now we have these nice little titles that are flashy, which help you anchor in. Some of the earlier ones, we just had question and answers with John Gray. And so you don't really see what we really covered. Maybe one day Ken will find titles for those so people can be more selective. And we may start taking some off just because it's kind of overwhelming, and then throw them back in occasionally. I'm not sure. But what I know today is what's holding us back is us. It's you. And what is it about you? It could be many things, but we can simplify it into 12 basic blocks. Once you're aware of the block, then you can be aware of the feelings that are holding you back from that block. Okay, often when I take action to achieve a specific goal, my brain starts coming up with reasons why I'm not doing it well enough. What kind of block is that? Yes, that's the perfectionism. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Thanks, Ava. And she jumped ahead to looking at the perfection, the block. So why don't I just read them out from my book? Now, this is my book, How to Get What You Want and Want What You Have. And it spent many, many months as a #1 bestseller, but then it went off the list because Men Are From Mars went back to #1. So Although I sold millions of copies of this book, not that many people know about it. Some people would speak their whole career, and it's really a great part of my message. And so I'm just looking at page 269 towards the end, which I talk about the feelings chart. I talk about the blocks. So let me go through some of these blocks. And for those of you that are interested in becoming a Mars-Venus coach, this is where we go into deep understanding of what are the blocks that are holding people back. Because you talk to a coach, you set your goals, you become clear, you become what action steps to take to achieve your goals, whether it be relationship, whether you be single, whether you be in a marriage. What are the challenges that are holding you back? And then we look at what the block is. That's the first thing, is we help you identify your blocks. Then we look at we'll see. Here's what happens you identify your block, you take action, and then when you don't take action, then we go, okay, what's holding you back? And the chart that I'm referring to here from this book, page 269, the whole book is explaining it, and our whole coaching program, even if you don't want to become a coach and make money from it, just to learn this depth of this understanding, it goes beyond what I could cover in 10 of these talks. It's a whole six-month program that you can take to really go in depth, learn how to coach others, coach yourself, so you get beyond anything that's holding you back from your motivation, from love, from procrastination. So here are the blocks. The first one is blame. Whenever we're feeling blame, what's happening on a feeling level, okay, on the surface, it's a block. Well, anytime you're blaming your partner, blaming this, blaming that, blaming yourself, on a feeling level, you're feeling betrayed. And so what you do is you look for in your life where you feel betrayed. And you can look into your past, you can look into right now, you can look into your work. What is it? What's a time when you felt betrayed? And that's just connecting with I'm feeling betrayed, cheated, unsupported. And you just explore that a little bit. Then you go to the emotion that's linked to betrayal, which is you give yourself permission to feel angry. And I feel angry about this. And what happened that makes me feel angry? And when did I feel angry? And why do I feel angry? These are important questions. It's like, what am I angry about? What happens that makes me feel angry? When do I feel angry? And why do I feel angry? This is how you process emotions, is you explore them. And the key, I'm going to read one of these notes. Yeah, Jason's talking about this helps you be in present time with your emotions. Paradoxically, when you can take what you feel now, you're in present time, this is what I'm feeling now. Then what happens is you say, when else did I have this feeling? What you're doing is going into your past. And if you can remember feeling this feeling in your past, then you're now in present time without that feeling, remembering it from your past. And you're dealing with it then, which is so much easier to deal with it. If you can just put yourself, imagine myself back in the time. And at that time, I couldn't release the feeling because I didn't know that I would survive. I didn't know that I would eventually stay alive, because all of this stress inside of us, these are the emotions of stress. All of them are because some deep part of us thinks we're not going to survive. It's all about survival, safety, security. So the fact that you're, first of all, not acting on blame, you're not telling your partner you blame them, but you're becoming aware, okay, what am I blaming inside? Who am I blaming? What am I blaming? Maybe I'm blaming my parents. That's great. Now, you would never go and tell your parents. You just realize that the block is there. And so you're identifying, okay, what am I blaming? Maybe I'm blaming my brothers and sisters, or I'm blaming the school, I'm blaming the teacher, I'm blaming God, I could be blaming my mother. Whatever your blame is, if you're going into your past, go there. This doesn't keep you from being a positive person. It actually lets you realize that was me then, and then let me fully explore me then. And as I'm doing that, I realize that what I'm feeling now, which is blame for my partner, blame for myself, is actually what I was feeling in my past that I haven't yet dealt with. It's like it's a tension. Every time something is unresolved, it goes into your body. It becomes somatic. It becomes in your body. And so by remembering a past experience, your body can literally relive that experience, but in a safe place. And how do you know it's a safe place? How does your brain know you're safe, even though you're reliving that past experience? Is because you're not doing anything about it. You see, when we have negative emotions, we either suppress it or we take action because we're not safe. We go numb, and deny what our wants and needs are and just accommodate in some way. We go into denial. And this is an automatic reaction for children, by the way. Every time they're hurt and crying, whatever, they will be happy a minute later, okay, 10 minutes later, they're so happy and joyful. It's like it didn't happen. Well, what didn't happen is the body just suppressed it, rather than what a conscious parent would do. If you're available to do this, is you would just hold the child, not talk to the child at all, not try to solve the problem at all, but just feel what your child's feeling, and just stay peaceful and stay calm and distract, to look at the garden, walk around, gentle. For the young age, that little sound, shh, people will say shh to shut you up. Actually, that comes from when children are crying and they're little, you just gently make the sound, not to shut them up, but to comfort them, because that's the sound of being in the womb, of hearing mother's blood flow. Shh, shh, shh. But then we turn it into shh, shut up. And when you hear a child crying and you realize you can't hear that, here's another phenomena. You're resisting their pain, you're resisting their tears, because it's bringing that up in you. When your partner is saying things that are upsetting you, like they're crying or they're upset and you can't hear it, it's because there's a part of you that relates to their pain, maybe not what they're feeling and thinking, but relates to their pain, and you don't want to feel that pain. That's why you take a time out and you go and you explore, okay, how am I feeling right now? And now let me see, besides my partner making me feel this way, what else in my life has made me feel this way? But all it is kind of a suffering. It's what we call stressed or suffer. That's why these words are so important, to actually identify what block you're experiencing in that moment. And it could be many blocks, by the way. But you start with one and you go to another. And then when you have a block, then you go to what's the feeling linked to that. Then you go to what's the emotion linked to that. And then you go to what's the positive emotion that you want to go for. And the positive emotion is always going to be something like gratitude, love, happiness, appreciation, pride, or just simply love. And what do you love? And it's just simply giving yourself a chance to feel your positive feelings. But what's keeping you from feeling your positive feelings is always your negative emotions. So what you want to do, and what allows you to become aware of your negative emotions, to identify them, to give a word that describes them. See, why that's so important is that when you identify and give a word to describe what you're feeling, just a one word, single word, what you're holding it in, what's that one word, is you're using your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is your governor. It's your part of you, the commander. It's the part of you in present time that can connect to the wisdom of your higher self. Okay, but first you got to connect to your soul, to connect to the wisdom of your higher self. And the soul is what's making you feel those negative emotions. It's your inner guidance. It's like you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go here. How does that feel? Does that feel good? Does that not feel good? Okay, so it's that feeling of it feels good, feels safe, feel positive. That's your soul telling you, go that direction. However, you can't always believe it, because we have this other thing called the senses. Ice cream feels good. Yelling and screaming can feel good because it just releases energy. Addictions can feel good. So you have to gradually get a sense of what is you're really connecting to your soul. And connecting your soul is feelings like appreciation, gratitude, trust, faith, kindness, gentleness, ease, comfort, peace, confidence. These are all connecting to the feelings of your soul. And there's no stress associated with it. You get back to that place, and then you ask yourself, what is it that I want? What is it I need? And you start exploring that more and more, and just even expressing what you want, because it's the mischief guy, right? But it's the power. And so just repeating, what is it you're wanting, exploring what I'm wanting, what else am I wanting, what else am I wanting? It's like a river of energy. And it self-purifies. Water is self-purifying. If you vortex it or you flow it, it will just impediments will go off of it. Desire is the key. But I feel what I want. And I was talking to a woman the other day. She goes, I don't know what I want. I don't know what. But how do you know what you want? You have to first look at what you don't want. And how do you find what you don't want? Is what's upsetting you, what's bothering you, what's stressful. And that then allows you to connect with what you don't want. You often, if you think back to your past, often the things that people remember most are the painful moments. That's because your brain wants to avoid, it wants to remember those painful moments so that it can avoid that happening. But if it's really painful and it's early childhood and you didn't get support, it just goes into denial. It goes into suppression because you don't have a brain that can process it. You don't have a parent whose brain can help you process it by feeling at ease and comfortable and loving and compassionate and empathetic and just holding you when you're that young child. So you start learning how to connect back with peace and calm. And in that place of peace and calm, your brain starts to realize, okay, what is it that I need? I need this calm. I need this love. I need this feeling of faith. I need this feeling that I am special, that I'm important, that I'm valuable, that I'm needed. All that awakens when you receive it. So how do you know what you really deserve? You first have to receive it. Otherwise, you just don't know. I experience this a lot in China, although I do it other places too, but it's pretty common where children will say there's no trauma of childhood at all. I mean, grown-ups will go, oh, no, my parents were perfect and whatever. And then I say, well, is there a part of you when you were a child where you felt a pressure to perform? Oh, they all felt, yes, I felt a pressure to perform. Okay, now that pressure, what is the pressure is fear. And they say, I'm not afraid. Think about this. Are you afraid of disappointing your parents? Oh, yes, I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want. So what is it you don't want to happen? That's one of the ways you can connect whatever you're afraid of. The emotion of fear is looking at what I don't want to happen means a part of you is afraid that's going to happen. So I'm afraid of disappointing my parents. I'm afraid of getting into trouble. I'm afraid of being hurt. I'm afraid of being rejected. Underneath all your negative states and procrastination, it's always, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid I won't achieve. I'm afraid I'm not enough. Even though one part of you is defensive, going, I am enough and it's everybody else's problem. That's the first block, which is blame. So with blame, we have kind of a sense there of where we're going with this, of what's holding you back. Blame is a block. And this is page 269 in my book, How to Get What You Want What You Have. The general feeling is betrayal. You feel betrayed. And generally the emotion you want to look for is what you're angry about, and then explore feeling anger. And if you had permission to express anger, what would you say? And don't hold back. You can exaggerate. You can amplify. Sometimes you can amplify. You know, back in the 70s, there was all this encounter groups, okay? And what everybody did is they just amplified their emotions, because that was a way, like a bat and you're hitting it, I hate you, okay, is to get in touch with feeling the block. Now we're more aware, more conscious. You don't have to do that because it stops there. I remember back in those days when I was learning about this stuff, Helena's put in there, if you want to become a Mars Venus coach, you can check it out, how you can do that. You can go to Mars Venus Coaching. And if you want to have a Mars Venus coach, you can always contact me. My rates are much higher, but my Mars Venus coaches are much more reasonable. And I'm reasonable too, because in a session with me, you would get the equivalent of, for other therapists, a lot more and save a lot of money. But when it comes to the coaches, they're there available on the phone. Their schedules are much more available than I am. I have a waiting list, but you're happy to be on it. And so this is the coaching that I provide. It's the coaching they provide. It's all based upon removing these 12 blocks wherever they are. You identify them, and then you learn how to process the feelings behind them. So then you look at, I keep saying I'm going to do this, so I'll follow through on it. Gazelle says, my parents still run my life because I'm afraid of disappointing them. They're still not happy with me, though. Yes. And that's part of processing this, is realizing when I was a little girl, I couldn't fulfill my parents. I was afraid of their rejection. I was afraid of not fulfilling them. I was anxious. That will be another one we get to, is anxiety is another block. I was afraid I couldn't please them. I always wanted to please them. I was never enough. And when I was a child, that's how I felt. And today I'm an adult. I no longer have to please my parents. So this is what happens naturally, and you can affirm that, which is, as a child, I was afraid, and today I'm a grown-up, and I know I don't have to please my parents. Or I know that my parents have problems, and I'll never be able to please them, and I don't need to please them. And I can create my own family of people who are pleased by me, who see me as good enough. So you have to, this is called processing it. But if you can get back in touch with the inner child, just feeling that pressure, I'm afraid. Let's get to anxiety in a moment, and I'll tell you how to process that. So Angela says, I don't want equals I'm afraid. Yes, there you go. That's a takeaway that will change your life, folks. It's just because a lot of people don't live in a world of feeling what I'm afraid of, because your logical brain goes, but why are you afraid? There's no reason to be afraid. So just look inside yourself, what I want, what I want, what I don't want. And when you get to what I don't want, you're going to have emotions. And sometimes that emotion is, and that's how I can always connect with my fears. Because if I'm angry, what am I afraid of? I'm feeling all powerful. Anger makes you feel powerful without fear. So how can I connect with my fear? You have to look for it, but you have to know that what fuels anger is fear. If you had no fear and you were at peace, nothing makes you angry. Okay, so it's like anybody who's angry, they're also afraid. And they won't be feeling their fear though, but by becoming aware of their fear. And this is where you do your introspective work, or you're with a coach and they're saying, well, what are some of your worries at that time? What's your concern? Why is it what are you afraid of? Then you would begin articulating all the worst things that you could possibly be afraid of. And one of those is going to touch you. And now you're going to feel that. It's like a hot coal. A tear will come to your eyes. You realize, yeah, that's been hidden in my subconscious mind, that fear. Now, for some, they always know they're afraid. They're neurotic. Okay, that's a different type of personality where I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. For them, the fear just doesn't release it. It's always the feeling that you don't easily feel that causes the release. So if you're angry, it's usually covering up fear. Anger could also be covering up, you're feeling guilty. You're feeling regret. You're feeling inadequate. You're feeling unworthy. Why would that be? Think about the case of somebody sees you taking cookies out of the cookie jar, then you get mad at them for finding it out. It's like what happens in our government. The whistleblowers, the ones who say this person is doing something bad, the whistleblower ends up being killed, or the whistleblower ends up being punished, ridiculed, defeated some way, and pushed down, made bad. You're the bad guy for pointing out the injustice and the terrible thing that is going on in the government. And then the person that was doing the terrible thing, they get a promotion. They get a promotion. They always get a promotion because, they want to make, this person isn't bad, they're good, so we're going to give them a promotion. They're following our orders. See, the government, just get it, it's the CIA. It's like, it does good. You see, there's always good and there's also bad. And corruption occurs in governments. And we know that. I think if you're listening to me, all governments are corrupt in some way and they all do good in some way. So since I talk about governments, I could just sit there and hate what they're doing. If I'm hating, I'm still blocking and I'm contributing to the problem. I need to now get in touch with what's the general feeling is I feel betrayed. Now, I don't really feel betrayed by the government because I've never trusted the government. So how can I be angry with them? So what can I do to feel my anger instead of being blocked in hate? See, the block is over here. I've got to find out where in my life I feel betrayed. And the further back I can go, the better it will be. So I can go back into my childhood and I feel cheated and betrayed is that my brothers said, go do this thing, and I ended up doing something bad, and they all wanted, me to suffer. And they were jealous of me and they were mad at me and I'm angry with them and so forth. So then I would be able to find another place in my life where I feel that anger as opposed to angry at governments. I mean, basically it's stupid to be angry at a government because you can't change it. So you just stay waiting for them to change in order to let go of your anger, as opposed to I can change my feeling by making it personal, something in my own life that could make me angry. And then that will generally go to blaming your spouse. This is the good thing about being married and having sex with someone. When you have marriage and sex, you can easily get in touch with your blame. So that blame is holding you back in all areas of your life and making you a victim. So what you want to do is you easily can blame your partner, but don't verbally do it. Take your time to process your feelings of, I feel betrayed because I've given so much. That's resentment. And I've done this for them, and I've done this for them. That's part of why you feel betrayed, is I did this. Oh, the betrayal was just so clear. That then helps you to get in touch with your anger. And then if you feel your anger, if it's easy to feel your anger, then you know that you have to get to another level. So this is always the case of Jung kind of started a whole field of psychology, which is all personal development, all personal growth is based upon becoming conscious of our unconscious mind. The unconscious rules us. Remember that big elephant. If it's stressed, it just takes off and it does whatever your parents did, what their generation did, what that generation did, and how they just killed people and they did terrible things. If you go back to uncivilized times, it's all inside of us. And on a certain spiritual level, we are all one. And so there is a belief, and it's my belief as well, that when I overcome these challenges that I'm given in life, by the universe comes around, life circumstances happen, however you want to look at it. I look at it as a benevolent universe. It's always guiding me and supporting me by pointing out to me where my thinking is limited. And so wherever my thinking is limited, it could be I'm not good enough, I'm not doing a good job, other people don't deserve my love, other people are bad and should suffer in hell, whatever that might be. These are all limited negative thoughts. Anything that keeps me from feeling happiness and peace and love is all based upon some negative belief that I have to become aware of, and I have to change the belief. And so what you're getting in touch with when you go blame, I'm feeling betrayed, those thoughts that go with betrayal are all your negative limited thinking. Feel the anger, and feeling the anger is painful, and now your brain will start to say, I'm going to release that, and what's underneath it. But you have to go underneath it to another emotion. Sweet Pea says, hi, John. So grateful for your time here learning so much. What if the peace and calm is not comfortable? Instead of toxicity, chaos, and dysfunction, that feels comfortable for some people. Yes, that's such a good point. It's right in tune with what we're talking about here today, is so much of the time you could be feeling afraid when really you're angry and you're not looking at your anger. So you just have all this fear. And so what you do is that fear energy is you're just stuck in one. See, what holds us back is the inability to be flexible, to move from one emotion to the other emotion, to the other emotion, to come back to positive emotion and positive feeling. Think about it in terms of walking on a tightrope and having free will. See, the whole point of free will is you're on a tightrope. You can choose the wrong thing. You can choose things that will make you suffer, and you can choose things that will make you feel heavenly and make you successful and make you experience your personal growth and development and clean out what's ever holding you back inside. So you're on this tightrope and you go a little bit towards the wrong side. You're going out of balance. And when you go out of balance, there's going to be a negative emotion. Let's say that's anger. Now, how do you come back into balance? Do you just come back to I love and I forgive? No, you can't do that. You can't just feel anger and come back to I love and forgive. Pretty hard. What you tend to do is, with processing, is you go feel anger, then go out of balance the other direction, and you go to another tone. The other tone could be I'm afraid, or it could be I regret, or it could be I feel guilty, or it could be I feel sad, it could be I feel disappointed. So I go from anger, see the tone is of aggression, to more surrendered negative emotion. I feel sad, or I feel hurt, I feel vulnerable. So you went from one direction to the other direction, and now you can kind of come back into balance. But maybe you go a little bit too far the other way. So that's another emotion. So you went from feeling anger to feeling sad, now going to feeling afraid. Okay, think about the future. It's another perspective. What could happen that you don't want to happen? And, sadness is it's not happening. So what is it you don't want to happen? Because whenever what you want is not happening, if you're stressed and you're still stressed, it's because a part of you is going, it's never going to happen. This is what we go into. And it's never, what I want is never going to happen. And how do I know what I want to happen? Often by looking at what is it I don't want? What is it I don't like? What is it I don't need? So focusing on the negative helps us to get in touch with what we really, really want. But when you focus on the negative, become aware of it, it grips you until you go a little deeper. There's always another emotion. You got to go from left to go to right to come back into balance. The higher your consciousness, the more you have to do, okay? Because you're going deeper. So for me, I have to go from the anger to the sadness to the fear and to the regret down to feeling shame. That's the one that was really hard for me for the longest time, to be able to feel shame. But then I eventually learned. Life gave me enough experiences to force me to feel shame because I've never been punished by my parents. That was my parents raised me, so I never felt shame. I always felt innocent. I'm doing my best, and that's good enough. Nobody made me feel shame. But that was a blessing on one level, but at some point I had to connect with the part of shame, because when you have shame, that really goes to the core of who you are. Now, a lot of people feel shame right away because they've been punished. You're bad, you don't deserve. And so they'll go into shame. And what frees you from shame is going to another emotion. And usually you have to get yourself permission to be angry with the person who made you feel shame. angry with the person who made you feel bad, angry with the person who made you feel afraid, angry with the person who disappointed you. So sometimes anger is then the flip side of shame. It's also fear. When you're feeling powerless. When you feel angry, you feel powerful. But the whole key is you're recognizing this is all done in a context. I'm just taking a few minutes to dip into this emotion, gain emotional flexibility. I kind of liken it to what we're learning all about diet, because diet's important too here, because, and I'm going to start giving some talks on how to balance blood sugar and various things, like when it comes to balancing your blood sugar, besides cutting back on refined processed sugars, is you've got, what foods to eat and what the order of foods to eat. You've also got supplements that can help prevent your blood sugar from going so high that your insulin level goes high, and now the insulin's too high. What that does, it suppresses your blood sugar, and now you have low blood sugar. So what we want is to have this metabolic flexibility where you eat your meal, it first burns the carbohydrates, then it also burns the fats. But when you don't have metabolic flexibility, you just sort of stay stuck over in the sugar burning and then craving sugar for energy because your body can't relax and burn the fat. Well, it's the same way is when you're angry, that's your sympathetic nervous system. You have to go over to another version of that, which is the fear, to find the flexibility to go from one emotion to the other emotion, to the other emotion, to the other emotion, to go deep. I just, where this chart came up is back in the day when I was #1 bestseller for 5.5 years. I was on every TV show, and that was so much energy coming in, it forced me to go through all of these blocks. And this is how I have this whole analysis of them, is I would spend hours analyzing what was holding me back, why I was feeling, stressed. You would think you're getting all this success, you don't feel stressed. Oh my gosh, it was so stressful on me. But then I learned how to process the stress of that. And where does the stress come from? Is that when you are getting lots of love, then anything that keeps you from feeling I deserve that love will show up. And this is marriage. It will happen. Being on a bestseller list, it will happen. I just have a friend, he just went public. He's worth like maybe a billionaire soon, and suddenly there's this whole new problem in his relationship where his ego just went off the chart, and that keeps him, well, I'm right in what I feel. And that righteousness, that becomes a block. Okay, well, let's go down our blocks here. So blame is one. And the feeling that goes with that is feeling betrayed or cheated. And the emotion that goes with that is anger. Another block, it's just feeling depressed. I'm just depressed. And one of the symptoms of that is apathy as well. And the reason I call them blocks is because if you feel blame, it doesn't move on. If you feel the emotion and the feeling, you feel the feeling of betrayal, then it will help release the emotion of anger. They're all necessary. It's kind of like you need 3 vitamins to make the thing work. It's not just one vitamin. It's a balance of all these things. Hello, John. How do you distinguish a negative belief from your intuition signaling that something is wrong? This is such a great question. Mar here from Portugal, following your work for years. The way you know a negative belief is not true, okay? Your intuition is your feeling self. And if when you're feeling a belief and there's any stress associated with it, any doubt, okay, any frustration, any lack of love, any lack of peace, when your intuition is feeling a truth and you have negative emotion associated with it, then you know the belief is not true. It could be partly true, but not completely true. It's like the fear of death, okay? The reality, my experiences are, I'm not afraid of death at all, except I want to be here to help support my family and whatever. But the negative belief even with that is that even without me here, it would be something terrible would happen to them instead of grace would come to them as well. I'm just a function of grace for my children, helping them, whatever. But when we have these thoughts, these beliefs that cause us to feel anxious, cause us to feel negativity, negative emotions, by feeling the negative emotion and then the deeper negative emotion, your brain will change the belief. It happens almost automatically. But you want to affirm the positive, and the way you can affirm the belief is by releasing the negative emotion, come back to the positive emotion, and start looking at reasons to have positive emotions. And those reasons are now positive beliefs. Whenever you're focused on your positive beliefs, you'll produce positive emotions. When you're focusing on negative beliefs, limited beliefs, there's something limited, it's wrong. You're going to need to change that belief. Something about it is off. It's because it's producing a negative emotion. And it's by feeling that a negative emotion and then going a little deeper and then feeling what it is that you're wanting or needing. This is all part of the awareness of going inside. Then what springs from that is the wisdom of what I really want and how I'm going to get it, and the motivation to get it, as well as the gratitude and appreciation for what you have in your life, what you're happy about, what you're confident about, and what you love. These are those easy to access positive emotions after you've released the negatives. But a big part of this is saying what it is that you want. Because the more you say what you want with positive feeling, then hold this question up here. What you want with positive feeling, the wisdom will come on how to get it, and you're activating what we could say the quantum field, which is self-organizing to create opportunities for you to notice and see what to do next. And the universe provides for you that. It's like if you think, I want to buy an Apple computer, suddenly you're going to look and see all the stores that are selling Apple computers. This is back when their supermarkets were selling Apple computers. One time I needed to find a place a lease for my personal growth center back in LA. When I used to live there, I opened a personal growth center. Then when I started driving around looking at for lease signs, I saw them everywhere. As your brain starts organizing an awareness that leads you, and then you have to pick, okay, which is the one that I want? Then you have to check in, okay, what feels good to me? It's a feeling that makes that decision ultimately, but it goes along with logic. It's there, and you have to clean out the awareness of negative beliefs coming from a settled place. Here's a question, which is, how can you know what is the block that isn't allowing you to find your soulmate? Okay, let's go down the blocks and see what we find. Blame. Well, one block is that you're dating guys and you always find something to blame. I will go down here to another one, which is number 5, is judgment. You find yourself being too picky. Picky. Okay, just it's judgment. You find yourself feeling judgment. That's number 5. And the general feeling that goes with how do you get to the emotion that breaks the tendency to be judgmental is to become aware that I'm dissatisfied. It's a feeling. I'm so dissatisfied. I don't have a partner. This person wasn't good enough. I keep finding the wrong guys. He wasn't exciting to me at all. Find out all your reasons why you're dissatisfied, and then feel the emotion. I'm just so frustrated because I've been doing this and I've been doing this and I keep getting with the wrong guys. Now that's the first emotion you feel with that. Now how you process an emotion is you always then go with what's underneath that. And what this chart does is it says what's underneath frustration is I'm feeling disappointed. Now, when you're feeling disappointed, you feel into that, and then you go into, and what is your concern or worry? Okay, I'm worried, and you feel what I'm concerned about, what I'm worried about, and then you go a little deeper, and then you let yourself feel, the truth is, I'm feeling embarrassed. Here I am, this wonderful person, and I can't seem to find the right person, and what I really want is a person who's this way and this way and this way. And then you shift gears to what I'm grateful for is, and what I'm happy about is, and I'm happy I'm growing and I'm learning and my job is paying me and my friends are talking to me. You find other things to feel positive about. So you shift from feeling the depth of disappointment. But when it comes to a soulmate, this is really the pain we feel. It would be judgment is the surface part of it. Number 8 would be perfectionism. That could be another one at the blocks, is that that's a part of being picky. Judgment is I'm better than, and picky, perfectionism is inadequacy. Basically they're not enough for me. I deserve more. But the general feeling, if you are a perfectionist, you say, okay, where in my life am I perfectionist? And you go to the general feeling of that one is looking at yourself and realizing I'm not perfect and feeling inadequate. Where do I feel inadequate? Whenever really demanding others to be better, it's a cover. It's a defense reaction above the feeling inside of ourselves is I feel not good enough. And so again, it's if I don't have a partner and it's taking so long, I feel inadequate. It's where sometimes we go into all this self-blame, which is, when are you going to find the right person? One of my clients, I was just at a conference, and she was at the conference as well with her new husband. And I just remember helping her get rid of this other jerk that she had married. She didn't even ask me, should I marry him? I said, if I was you, I wouldn't marry that guy, but you have to do what you have to do. But she was so desperate that she married the wrong guy because she was desperate. And then I helped her with getting the divorce, realizing that you deserve better than this. And then she realized, yes, I deserve better. I'm not going to get rid of this desperateness. I've got time. I'm only 30 years old. I'm gonna find the right guy for me. And then she started imagining having the right guy for her and what that would feel like and so forth. And then it was a year later, and she was married, and she was pregnant with a child, just what she wanted. I mean, these things do happen, but sometimes you have to get rid of what you don't want in order to become clear about what she wanted. And she was so much, I want to have a baby and a family, that she wasn't focusing enough on what I want from a man. And then she was able to, marry this guy who wasn't like off the chart, so fantastic or whatever. She realized her value was, I wanted somebody who would respect me, be understanding of me, be present for me. She's already a professional. She makes a good income and whatever. And she didn't want to work anymore. She wanted to raise her children during that raising time, somebody who could support me during that time. And she found him. She's happily married. It was quite wonderful. He's not some multimillionaire. He's just a guy who's got a good job and can support her while she's being pregnant. And she also had some of her own money as well. So another happy ending story. But first, a lot of processing, a lot of her feeling like, I just want to be married. I want to have somebody who loved me, and that she was desperate. And she's coming back to clarity about what you want. And then she got it. Okay, you got to process, and you got to deal with that pain inside and continue looking at it. Realize a lot of that pain had to do with childhood. And we looked at some of her childhood issues to help clear that up. It's because whenever you're really triggered and you're having strong emotions, 90% of it tends to be your childhood. And by being able to say, okay, I'm feeling betrayed, or I'm feeling abandoned, I'm feeling uncertainty. When was I a child feeling uncertain? So let's continue going through this chart. So you get let me just move through them all. There's blame, there's depression, and that's also apathy, anxiety, there's lack of peace is anxiety, and the general feeling for that is uncertainty. And certainly when you're feeling anxious, recognize, okay, what am I uncertain about? What I don't know is. Now in this book, it's really wonderful because it has the exercises you can do. Like for anxiety, recall a time when you felt uncertain, and then explore the feelings of fear, sorrow, frustration, and disappointment. It goes into all the emotions that are generally linked with that block. Now, it's too tedious for read all that. This is in my book, How to Get What You Want What You Have. But if I go over to linking your feelings to your past section, and I'll go over here to the block on anxiety, okay, to link present feelings of uncertainty in your past, use any of the following questions and suggestions. Recall a time when you felt uncertain in some way. You can go back in time when I didn't know what to do. All right, I go right back to what's coming up for me lately is feeling disorganized and not knowing my homework, and the bus is waiting for me. He's honking the horn. He says, come on out, John. Come on out, John. I can see him, and I'm so frustrated. I can't come. I don't have my homework. So I didn't know where my homework was. That's the whole thing, the process right there from the first question. Recall a time when you didn't know what to say. That would be another question, where a memory comes up from my childhood. My mother was saying, what did you learn today in school, Johnny? I don't know, maybe I was 8 years old, and I felt like, yes, I learned something. And then I tried to explain it to my mother, and it didn't come out, and it didn't make any sense. It was kind of like went in, but didn't come out right. And I felt foolish. I felt embarrassed. I felt, that my mother must think less of me. And boom, I'm afraid now my mother's disappointed with me. Kabang. This is just ask the question and a memory comes up. Or I could ask another question. Recall a time when you didn't know what would happen. Okay, so here's a time that showed up just now. I was in Cub Scouts the first night, and some big boys were chasing me with sticks. I don't know, making fun of me, scaring me, trying to scare me. Kids do this, and there was no supervision. And I ran away, and I ran right into a wall, right into a post. It was the basement of the church, and knocked out half my front teeth. So I had little spikes. And then, that hurt a little bit. Didn't hurt that much. I didn't even know what happened until I washed my mouth out of blood and the teeth came out, or part of the teeth came out. But that trauma, that wasn't even traumatic. The trauma is when I got into the car and smiled to my mother and she saw these teeth missing. She went, what happened? And she was like, my precious, what happened to my precious? And I said, she said, I said to her, she said, what happened? I said, well, I chipped my teeth. And she was like, oh my gosh. And then I said, oh, Mom, don't worry. Don't worry. They'll grow back. And then my mother was sad and she said, well, they don't grow back now. And then I felt bad, okay? It's because she felt so bad. We don't realize we just absorb feeling bad. I didn't, I certainly was innocent and thought it would just grow back, and I didn't know what would happen. Recall a time when you were waiting a long time. Okay, boom. Now I remember I was on a vacation with my family, and we're going to California. It was a big thing, and we're going to go to Disneyland. And then I somehow got in the wrong car and it was in it at these relatives' house, and I didn't like being there, and I felt away from my mother for a week. It was very traumatic for me. And I'm waiting for her to come pick me up. I'm waiting for her to pick me up, and she hasn't come to get me. And I think I'm forgotten. Boom, it was like traumatic, and I didn't get to go to Disneyland. It was like all this trauma. So you ask the question, and memories start to come back. Recall a time when you were held back. Well, what comes up for me there is one day my brothers, we used to, in Houston, Texas, where I grew up, we'd have leaves in the fall, and we'd rake them up, and in our front yard, we'd burn them. This is a different time. You didn't need a burn license. You just burn them. And my brothers, basically, they started swinging me and threw me into the fire, okay? I didn't get burned because I jumped out right away, but there it was that's what comes up, is that I was held back. You see, I couldn't get out. I'm remembering another one. I was held back. I used to sit behind the garage in a hole, and I didn't know I was meditating, but as a little kid, I would just like to get inside the hole. And then my dad fell into it and said, you can't have a hole. So I put a roof on it, dug a tunnel into it, and I used to go down my little cave. This was probably me reliving a past life when I was a yogi, and because I've been a big meditator my whole life. And they would often go into the caves and get into the earth, so to speak. And also could have just been reliving my birth trauma of being in the womb. A lot of these things all came up. I processed them all. But recall a time when you're held back. Recall a time when you were lost. Oh my gosh, now I'm going to go into more adult time. But I remember being at a festival, a rock festival, and I was high on drugs. And I just couldn't find my way home. That was my whole feeling. I can't find my car. I can't find food. I couldn't find water. I felt like I was dying of thirst. I was wandering around this whole place. Oh my gosh. Now I suddenly remember being, Burning Man Festival. Oh my God, Burning Man Festival, this thing in the desert. And I was high there. I tried everything once. And I was high there in this huge place. And I couldn't find our RV. We had an RV, and I'm wandering through this place at night, and it's huge and going around. I'm lost. I can't find my way home. It's been a theme in my life, where I get lost, and then I get found. Okay, so then another memory comes up. I tell you, this is like amazing stuff. This is what happens when you start processing your feelings, is you start being able to bring back your past. Now, what's the point of bringing back the past? The point of it is, first of all, to realize what you're feeling in present time is not about now. It's about something that's unresolved from your past. And by looking into your past, you no longer have that feeling about what's happening now, but you're also being able to feel what you felt as a child or what you felt on that day. And when you go back to that time when that happened, you can now, knowing that you survived, that's the key thing, knowing it's the past and you survived, you're able to feel the emotions and very quickly feel them, get in touch with what you were feeling and resolve it and let it go, because you were able to survive and come back and be grateful that you did find your way home. You did get back, and you are happy, and you have something to appreciate. And I do love my life. And the thing about going back in time as well, because I look at what's the miracle of why you go back and feel what you felt as a child, why that's so important, is when you can feel the negative emotions, which we all could easily feel as children to the degree that we felt safe. You go back to that time, then now you're remembering who you were at that time, and who you were at that time is more authentic, mindless, yes, but more authentic than you are today. So then you can feel the richness and the joyfulness and the beauty and the lovingness and the ease and the peace that a child feels. You want to go back to feel what you were at that time before the negative emotion happened. Because when the negative emotion happened, because you didn't have the ability to process emotions, your parents didn't know how to do it, it just got repressed. And every time negative emotions gets repressed, the part of you that can feel the positive emotions becomes repressed a little bit more and repressed a little bit more. And so then we lose the passion. Same thing happens in marriages. After a few years, it's just not exciting anymore. You're making love and it's kind of like just this sort of sexual thing, and it's just sort of perfunctory, I think is the word for it. It's just sort of routine, and you're getting a release or whatever, or you're satisfying your partner's need. You lose the passion. Where did that passion go? The passion was there in the beginning because of the newness of the experience. You get to experience a freshness, a newness to it. Dopamine gets produced, testosterone, estrogen get produced. You feel more balanced. But then what that does, that opens your heart, and then everything of when your heart was closed down, whatever caused your heart to close down, those memories will start to come up. But they don't identify themselves. You have to do some searching. You have to go find them. And the way to find them, by the way, I just went down, I just went through 8 questions, and suddenly I'm telling you my whole life story. But it could be, recall a time when you felt powerless. Well, that would bring me back to the same thing of, what popped up was trying to get out of this, because in this hole behind the garage, I had a roof on it. One of the brothers got in there to block it, and I started screaming, and then another brother sat on top of him and didn't hear me screaming. So I was going through a trauma of not being able to get out. That was, boy, did I feel powerless. Or I could go back to something a while back when I was being sued. Somebody had a big, huge lawsuit against me, and I felt powerless. So I'm feeling the stress now. I reduce the stress in present time if I can experience something from my past where I felt that stress and I survived. Because I did survive that, got through it all, so I can relive. If I'm triggered here, I go to another time and another time and another time. And what that does is it dilutes the awareness of thinking that everything I'm feeling now is about now, because it's never about now. Anytime you have any of these strong emotions, it's accumulation of things that have happened over the past till they become intense enough so you can fully feel the negativity and realize it's not just about now, but it's about that, it's about that. And if you can bring it back to your childhood where it was most intense, it was most real, because that's when you got repressed the most. I mean, children, they're screaming, crying. They're in terror. They're enraged. They have rage. They're in terror. They feel hurt. They feel abandoned. Anyway, so you get a little sense of how to heal this stuff. So blame goes with the general feeling of anger, betrayal. It goes to anger. Depression goes to abandonment. Feels sad. So anxiety is uncertainty, a time when you were uncertain. And what's the emotion? Is being afraid. Indifference. This is a big one. This is this flatness I'm talking about. You just feel, and you stop caring. You stop caring. And what are you feeling at that time? Well, whenever you stop caring, you feel powerless. This is people who have apathy. They just lose power. So just that awareness. Yeah, I'm feeling powerless. What am I feeling powerless about? What power am I wanting? And then to heal powerlessness, you have to start taking responsibility. See, it's only when we stop taking responsibilities where we feel powerless. You feel power when you realize I'm producing the results in my life. So powerlessness, the regret and sorry, to feel sorry. But people who become indifferent, they don't know that what they're suppressing is I'm feeling sorry. It's because the reason they're feeling indifferent is because they have a lack of power. And where power comes from is feeling I create my reality. I cause this to happen. So you have to feel your powerlessness. And then but let's say you were just feeling indifferent. You first look at, okay, what in my life am I feeling bad about? What am I regretting? What do I feel sorry about? And you start looking at big mistakes you've made in your life. Anybody who's stuck in indifference is because you realize you regret all these things in your past. I regret I married you. I regret I lost that money. Or I regret I told that person this. I regret I didn't do this in my life. And this regret thing happens a lot for guys when they hit 49 or women when they hit 49. It's a cycle, 7 cycles of 7, one of the tendencies there is regret. I do talk about those cycles in this book. It's interesting and a whole nother subject, the challenges we have at different ages. But, those that hit that midlife place, there's a lot of regret. If only I had. I still have it occasionally. I wake up, darn, I had so much money in Tesla, and then I took it out, invested in another company that was went bust, put it that way. So that was a bummer. Boy, it would have gone up 10 times. That would have been something interesting. So then number 5 is judgment. When we're being judged, we have to recognize, okay, what am I feeling right now when I'm judging others? I'm feeling dissatisfied. And what is the emotion that goes with it is frustration. And with frustration, there's another chart that I want to make available to people. It's just not available. When I wrote this book, I didn't put in there, but there's always a positive a feeling you want to go to there. And on that one, on frustration, it's patience. Okay, what do I need to accomplish? We'll go through on another talk. I'll talk on another one, which is once you have to go through the healing emotions and process them, what are the positive emotions you should be looking for? So with frustration, it's feeling frustrated. With anger, it's feeling forgiveness. With sadness, it's feeling grateful or appreciation. With this fear, it would be trust, faith, confidence. Those feelings you're trying to go towards. Frustration is patience. That was always real helpful. The next one is indecision is the block. And the general feeling that when you're indecisive, I can't make up my mind. I have one client who's always like, I don't know, I do this, or I do this, or I do this. You have to let yourself connect with, okay, give yourself permission to feel discouraged, to feel discouraged that you don't know what to do. And you give yourself reflecting on, why do I feel discouragement? And then you start looking at, what's my disappointment, and feeling your disappointment and what's going on in your life. When did you feel disappointed, and so forth, getting in touch with what you wish had happened. Do you see how that works? And then what will become clear is what you really want. Your decisiveness will become clear. Remember, anytime you process emotions, you're connecting with the wisdom inside yourself when you get back to the positive. But you wouldn't just let yourself feel disappointment. Remember, to feel the emotion that you feel first is never the whole story. Underneath disappointment is you're feeling concerned or worried. Underneath that is you feel embarrassed, according to the chart. Under that, you feel jealous or envious of others. Now, who would ever think that jealousy or envy is at the basis of feeling indecisive? Well, ultimately, you feel indecisive because you're comparing yourself with others, and you don't want to make a mistake. And often, you see others having what you want, and you're mad about it. And that's called jealousy or being envious. So these are like awarenesses. So you're going into this map, and it's not always perfect. It's giving you a direction to look and then find something else. And some of the places are a little similar. But otherwise, you're just stuck in this place. You're just stuck feeling indecisive. I don't know what to do, or I'm just so judgmental. I just don't know what to do. What do I do? You process your emotions, and you come back to feeling loving and supportive and encouraged and positive instead of being unhappy. Anything that makes you unhappy is a block. You've got a block, and you want to go. Anytime you're holding back, I think that's the next one, is number 7, is procrastination. When you're holding back, and that's in our coaching, that's a lot of where it all starts. Is because when you do coaching, you set your goals. And when you set your goals, you're clear, this is what I want to do. And then next week, you talk to your coach, and you say, well, what did you not do? And then you have a non-judgmental person challenging you. Say, okay, so what got in the way? And it's when you set a goal and you don't follow through, then we know what's holding you back, besides procrastination, that's one block, is any of these blocks are holding you back from being your true self, connecting with your soul. But when you're feeling procrastinate, you want to go, okay, what's going on inside of me that's leading me to be stuck in this block? Just feeling the block doesn't do anything except have you go, oh, where do I need to look? And with procrastination, where you need to look is, what is making me feel helpless? I feel helpless to do this. I feel helpless to write a best-selling book, so I'm going to procrastinate it. I don't have the support I need. So now I'm becoming aware. Well, my brain will go, but you're not helpless, John. You just have to go sit down and start writing. And you need to, correct yourself and improve and so forth. You're not helpless. You can take action. But you still find yourself procrastinating because you're aware, I'm feeling helpless, but I'm not helpless. Then you go into, what's the emotion that goes with helplessness? It's worry or concern. Well, I'm worried that nobody will buy the book. Well, I'm concerned people will think it's not good enough. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough. I'm afraid my ideas aren't good enough. I'm afraid nobody wants to be with me. Nobody will buy my books. I'm afraid I'll waste time. That's a big one for me. I'm afraid I'll waste time, and so forth. So then I go into my fear. If it doesn't release, and usually the first emotion doesn't release, you go to the next one, which is underneath it, which is feeling embarrassed. Okay, now I'm starting to release. Where do I feel embarrassed in my life? Well, I can tell you right now, I feel embarrassed. I've got some of the biggest selling books on the planet, and then my most recent book is not the biggest selling book on the planet. It's doing okay, but I'd like it to do a lot better. I certainly can feel that and then let it go. So it's not like I'm going to stay stuck in embarrassment. I'm just going to check in and go, what is the negative feeling that might be in there? Some embarrassment. And underneath some embarrassment is some jealousy. Okay, whenever we're embarrassed, this is a really great one. And I've taken embarrassment out of this, by the way. I put envious, and I leave it in there, but a lot of people just never want to, they won't let themselves feel that they're jealous. Okay, so another version of what the emotion could be is that I'm really mad. Okay, so if I'm over here and I'm feeling perfectionism, it's because I feel embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because I don't have what somebody else has. That's the jealousy. Or I'm mad that I don't have what somebody else has. It could be either one. Jealousy was a big thing in my life, when I was so jealous of other people who were best-selling authors, and I thought I should be a best-selling author, and I wasn't. And I was really I was mad about that, but underneath that mad is I was jealous, and jealousy, I made friends with it. I realized jealousy is one of the greatest emotions to feel if you're being held back from success. Look at the people who have more success at you and take time to go, that's for me. That's for me. And even though I could do it better and I'm jealous that I'm not getting the recognition, you're putting forth the effort to do it, and that's for me. And you deserve to have that because you worked hard for that, and I deserve to have that because I'm working hard for that too. That's for me. This was a guy named Reverend Ike. He was an abundance teacher back in the 70s. And he'd say, when I see that Rolls Royce go by, I say, that's for me. That's for me. And I think part of my own abundant thinking, which allowed huge abundance in my life, is I remember as a teenager, there was this boy that moved into town, and he came to the high school. He was a new student, and his mother was the richest woman in Texas, and they had the biggest house in Texas, and it was like 5 minutes from my house, and he was in my class, and I go to his house, and he had a pool table and a swimming pool and a diving board, and he had a ping pong table and everything. It's like a playground to go to his house. And it was at high school, and could bring girls there and make out. It was all a really fun thing. It was, and nobody liked him, and I was like, well, that's for me, but they were all jealous of him, and so they excluded him. I became his best friend, and we were best friends. We shared a lot, but the key there was I was going instinctive. I go, that's cool, that's for me. I like that. I want that. I'm not going to resent him just because he has more than me. He was a nice guy. We became good friends, best friends. So again, that's for me. So important when you're feeling jealous. So perfectionism, procrastination, perfectionism, when you're feeling it's never enough, it's because you're feeling not enough in yourself. And another thing is your hormones are out of balance. That's a big thing with the Mars-Venus in this book for women only. How we talk about that is that you resent your partner as a part of you is also comparing and going, why do they get to have all the fun and I don't? I'm doing so much for them and they're not doing for me. It's a place that women get really caught up into. And it's your perfectionism. And saying, okay, it's a blessing. Now I have something to get in touch with the emotions around that and then feel that I'm mad. He's getting this. I'm not getting that. I'm mad. I'm missing out. And then you go a little deeper on that emotional scale. And underneath jealousy is I feel hurt. Hurt comes from the feeling of I feel left out. I'm missing out. And that is associated with the block of self-pity. But that's number 10. So we're going to go down the list after perfectionism. It's resentment. And whenever you're feeling resentful is you're feeling deprived. And this is a place women get caught up into quite a bit, okay, when they're in a sexual, emotional relationship, because it's really bringing up childhood issues. And the childhood issues of resentment is I'm feeling deprived. I'm not getting what I need. And children are being deprived. They feel deprived, but they have no words for it. And so a lot of it is unfair. It's not just. It's not okay. And so looking at the emotion that goes with that, it's either I'm mad, and it's more than just I'm angry. It's I'm mad. It's more directed. Anger is a little bit more I'm angry. I'm not getting what I want. I'm angry because, but what happens when you're feeling deprived is I'm mad. And the thought that goes along with that, if you go a little deeper, is actually you're envious. Why are you getting to have all the fun and not me? I realized that was what happened when I was so successful and having a good time. My wife would get mad if I was sort of like talking about how happy I was on a day when she wasn't happy. If she's happy, she was happy that I was happy. No question about it. But if I'm really happy and she's not, makes her feel worse. Meanwhile, what she doesn't understand and women don't understand, if I'm not happy and you go off and be happy, that makes me happy. Because see, a man who's connected to you, if you're happy, he's happy. But if a man's happy, it doesn't necessarily make a woman happy. It can actually make her feel more unhappy. unless she's already happy. So, and the backup for that, I've shared it before in our talks, is, we all say, happy wife, happy life, happy mom, everybody's happy. Nobody says happy dad, everybody's happy. And women don't understand that if he's not happy, just go be happy and it would make him happier. Get the logic of that. It's not for women. It's not for men to go off and be happy and expect that to make their wife happy. So here's a question. How about frustration? What's it tied to? I go up to the chart. It will go frustration. That's number 5. When you're frustrated, you're impatient, and your block is you're judgmental. You're judging yourself. And see, think of it like every time you're frustrated, you have an expectation. And when your expectation is not being met, okay, then what happens is you judge that person or you judge yourself. The only time I really experience frustration is with the computer. With trying to figure out one of these softwares that I don't fully have never been taught to use or whatever. And I get frustrated because my expectation, it should be easier and it should work, and it's not working. Women will experience this over and over because they think they know what's best in relationships and they do what they think is best and not what works. So then they get frustrated, with him. And so what they're going to feel with that frustration, if you go over to the block, is they'll start to judge him. One of the big judgments that women have is, I'm married to a narcissist. 99% of the time, you're not married to a narcissist, you're married to a guy. And you just don't know how to bring out the best in him. You're feeding him your codependence, which is making his needs more important than your own, and then expecting him to do the same for you. That's an unrealistic expectation, and therefore you'll feel frustrated. You'll also, this is where you move around the chart a little bit, that frustration is usually, when it's in a relationship, a cover-up for anger, and you're blaming him. So you're not meeting my expectation as frustration, but you should be, and that's going to be blame. And you're also a perfectionist. You'll see that goes right down the thing. It's just like you start living in this world of everything should be the way I think it should be. What happened to me, usually what's current in my life right now is often current in your life as you're listening to this, to a certain degree, because we're all affected by the planets. And let me see what Christine is saying here. Most of these feelings you attribute to women were prevalent in my ex-boyfriend. Yes, they're all inside of men, okay? There's no question that, and when you're a woman, you're more on your male side, it will come out more in a man. Just to know that, that's the reality. If you push down, it will come up in him, particularly if he's not anchored and grounded in his masculinity. And most men aren't. It happens unless a man has clear awareness of how to not indulge in negative emotions. See, men are being taught today that women want to hear what you're feeling. So tell me what you're feeling. And women are taught today that he should listen to your feelings. And that's how you feel close and intimate. You feel close and intimate when you share vulnerable feelings or negative feelings, but when it's not about your partner. That's the whole essence of the Venus talk. The essence of the Venus talk is to share emotions with your partner, but let him know that by sharing them, it makes you feel better. Then he'll listen. And let him know that you're sharing your feelings. It's not about him. Then he can be like a therapist and hear you without any defensiveness, and he can learn and experience for the first time actually empathizing with a woman, what she's going through, because he doesn't feel blamed. And you will feel the intimacy. It doesn't have to be talking about him or talking about the relationship. You don't have to do that unless what you're talking about, the relationship, is how grateful for you are, how happy you are, how confident you are, how trusting you are. It's like we have this whole idea that you have to have a therapeutic relationship with your husband, telling him all your feelings about him when they're negative. It's like we have to learn how to be loving. And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. But say it in the appropriate context, and anything inside is okay to say if it's in the right context. But if you have anger at your partner, don't go tell him I'm angry at you. Although you're going to be angry at your partner. I'm not saying you can't be, but what do you do with that? Basically you diffuse it. You diffuse all your negative emotions by learning how to process them. And the better able you're able to process them is you get faster and faster and faster. And what is it that releases anger, for example, is you remember you love your partner, what you're grateful for, and also understanding. Understanding is such a key factor, is to realize the understanding that whenever you're upset, when you're ever in any of these things, the only reason you're feeling these emotions, the only reason you're stuck in these blocks is because you're in a stress state, and that's something you have control over, as long as you don't think you have to change your partner to get out of that stress state. So this is the power. This is your empowerment to recognize anytime I'm upset, I have the power to come back to feeling positive feeling, connecting to my authentic, happy, positive self, my powerful self, my powerful self that can pull in opportunities, that can be successful, that can achieve goals, have unlimited creativity. All that's your soul. You have the power to come back and access that by identifying these blocks, the negative feelings associated with it, the negative emotions associated with it, getting in touch with what you're wanting, getting in touch with your gratitude and appreciation, and then you come back to feeling stress-free. See, this only shows up when you're experiencing stress hormones. So before you do anything, when you're unhappy, process yourself to get rid of the stress hormones. Your brain then can function normally. You can be a normal person. But people today aren't. We're stressed all the time. And so this is how you can process your emotions to come back to positivity. Now, what can also happen is on the surface, it's like putting whipped cream on poop. Okay, you can suppress all the negative stuff that comes up and think positive. You can do that. Why not first embrace the negativity and then think positive? Then you're not suppressing anything. And not suppressing is just becoming conscious of. That's all you have to do is become conscious of, feel it, then feel what else is in there, feel what else is in there, then feel what it is you're wanting, then come back and put whipped cream on it and be appreciative and grateful. And it will be more authentic and you'll fully feel it. Then what you can do is fully feel what you want and imagine having it. You can actually live in this world of imagining and fully feeling it instead of feeling it to 10 degrees or feeling it to 80 degrees, feeling it to 100 degrees. If you can be 100% authentic and feel a desire, then imagine having it. How would you feel then? And then it will come into you and you'll be able to create that. I was working with a man who was mad at his wife. Here's a question. I'll do that. What is the block that causes people to be dishonest? Okay. Always is fear. Okay, so a block is something that you feel. Dishonesty is a behavior. So people who lie, basically the reason they lie is they're feeling afraid of the consequences of being authentically themselves. So this would be associated with a people pleaser. They're big liars. It could be somebody who, as a childhood, had fearfulness of punishment. So my fear is one of punishment. My block in that whole thing, I go down this whole thing, it'd be pretty much, a lot of it, lying is being indifferent to somebody else, okay, which is just making everything okay rather than realizing, I have to think a little bit more about that. But I do know that what causes people to be dishonest is their fear. And the block in there, well, any of these is you'd want to look. When you're being dishonest, I have to situate. The only time I'm dishonest have been, is when I'm afraid that what I'm going to say is going to upset my partner. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this. Oh, I already know what the block is there is blame. I blame my partner for getting upset when I tell the truth. Okay, and also in there, I would be having unrealistic expectations. Oh, I just see it's the next one. You hit it right on the bell. It would be poor me. Okay, self-pity makes people lie. Okay, sometimes that takes a little, what's the behavior? Now look at what the block is that's associated with that. So thanks for the question. Is that when people lie, underneath that is feeling injustice in life, to feel resentment. I resent that I can't tell the truth. That's a block that we're just getting to, which is when you're feeling deprived. I don't have a partner that I can be with and share the truth and have them love me. So you see, there's resentment in there. I resent that I can't share my truth, and my partner goes, I understand that. And sometimes I don't recommend always sharing your truth with your partner. First, process your feelings, then share your truth appropriately in a language and at a time and in a context where your partner can hear you. So here's an example of how I worked with this one. What I found is when I had all this money and everything was coming in my life, all these big bestsellers, now I'm going to make financial decisions. And I don't know, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an investor, I'm a teacher, right? And my wife was, anything I say, well, we should do this with the money, she basically say, have you talked to the accountant? Have you ran this by the lawyer? And I would resent her for that. Like, I know what I'm doing. I was a big ego trip thinking I made it. I can decide what to do with it. I was actually wrong. I should have listened to my lawyers, but whatever. My defensiveness is she's saying, well, have you checked with the lawyers? Because she didn't know if this is a good idea. She didn't trust me to think it was a good idea. I haven't spent 20 years of my life being an investment manager. So she was naturally and correctly mistrusting of me. And so but I would feel mistrusted, and then I would get angry inside and blame her for that. I would also feel deprived. That's one of the general feelings that goes with resentment. I would be resenting her for not being able to hear me and making me, this is the feeling, making me have to lie about things, because if I told her the truth, then I couldn't get my way. And also, I have an unhappy wife. I get her disapproval. I get her mistrust. So how did I solve all that? It was just every time I wanted to make a decision, I'd first go and talk to the lawyer, talk to our accountant, say, how does this sound? Does this seem legal? Am I going to get put in jail for doing this? And whatever, I'd talk to the lawyer, I'd talk to the accountant, and then I would say to her, honey, I'm thinking we're going to do this with our money. And I talked to the lawyer, he said it's a good idea. I talked to our accountant, he said it's a good idea. Then I could tell her what I wanted to do without her becoming upset. So I solved the problem where I could share my truth about what I was going to do and what was going on with our finances. At the same time, if what I was feeling was mad at her at that time, I would first process my feelings and come back to the wisdom of how can I approach my wife at the right time in the right place where we can talk about this. I wouldn't just blame her. I'd let go of the block, which is blame. Helena's reminding me to ask everybody to know tonight is our book club where I'll be doing chapters 3 and 4 of the new book for women only, which is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus for women only, but men can attend, of course, as well. So that's our book club. And in that, I will also, it's not just the content of those 2 chapters, but I'm integrating it with another thing which is dear to my heart that I share, and I don't spend as much time sharing about it in these talks, which is nutritional support. So we'll go into some nutritional products that I use, that I recommend, that I've seen help. I do that with my partner, Ellen. I've had a health food store for over 25 years, almost 25 years online. It's not there right now. There's only a few products I recommend right now. And of course, if you want the brain fuel is my favorite of all products, along with my we used to call them super minerals. Now it's called lithium orotate for men, lithium orotate for women. There's also brain fuel. If you want to understand brain fuel, that's not what this talk is about. You call Ellen. But it's how to get the best quality proteins that I've found and then process them with enzymes in warm water and regular water for 45 minutes, and it breaks it down. It explains to you. She'll explain that, or you look at my other talks. But for brain fuel, text Ellen. You see her number. If you want a discount or you want to get a full refund, if you're not happy, she'll tell you how you get that. You don't have to send back containers or anything like that. So she'll let you know that program is available to you if you'd like to do it. I highly recommend it. I've got so many people who thank me for that. It's not like you have to do it forever. It's something you can just do for a month and just get the benefit of recharging your brain with pre-digested peptides. Everybody's spending thousands of dollars on peptides. This is so much cheaper, and your brain will just work better, and you might want to continue doing it. I don't necessarily do it every day anymore. I've been doing it 25 years. I used to do it very regularly. Now, if I notice any kind of mood fluctuation or lack of energy, whatever, I just say I'm going to skip a meal and I have the shake instead. It's a full meal replacement. Get my brain back to balance for a few days. So it's everybody can do it as you wish, but at least go on the program for a month and see the benefit you can get by getting brain fuel, along with the mineral product, the lithium orotate for men, lithium orotate for women, which has the other adaptogen products in it, which are proven by science to help your brain, help you cope with stress. And you can order it right now. It's right there. You can put your camera on that little box and go right to my website and order it. It's fantastic. Mars lithium orotate. I used to call it super minerals. I didn't say people up front. One of the secret ingredients is lithium orotate, because the doctors, they were giving a drug and then they want to give you antidepressants. And from my opinion, I didn't need any of that stuff. This just stabilized my mood. It was really a good thing to do. There's a lot more on all that, which you can read about at my website. And, Harvard University finally did a 10-year study showing they're recommending it to avoid Alzheimer's. They're recommending it as a treatment for Alzheimer's. They're seeing amazing results with it. The very one form of lithium that I've been promoting for 25 years and nobody else did. And so now people are on board. Most naturopathic doctors know about that. They're doing it. Medical doctors are still in the old age where lithium is a bad thing, because they were giving a bad form of it, lithium carbonate, lithium orotate, in these small doses of 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams. And then combining it, that's the key thing, combining it with saffron, okay, which lowers your stress for sure. combining it with rhodiola rosea, which increases your dopamine function, and so many other factors that are in there. Fulvic acid, which just gives you strength and endurance, and several other ingredients. So you can read about them all. They're like so well tested, and it's all in one package for you, 2 capsules, and you're done for the day. Okay, so we go back to blocks. Resentment is a block. It's a big one in relationships, and it's when we feel deprived. So you want to let your awareness go, okay, I'm resenting my partner. Now, what do I do about that? I look at, why do I resent them? When do I resent them? John, which of your products do you recommend for gut health? I'd recommend you go, it's not one of my products. I would recommend the 2 things I just recommended. Because what you're doing there is you're giving yourself pre-digested proteins. And you can make that your main meal for a week, just 3 times a day, the protein shake. And you would be doing is giving your guts pre-digested food. See, when you're stressed, you don't digest your food. And so what you're getting is undigested food into your gut, and that's going to be toxic, okay? Your body has to go through a digestive process, and when you're stressed, it can't function, and then you're going to get toxicity. Various problems can happen. So I would just start with that without giving you 15 other things that I recommend. That will be your first step. And a lot of people with gut health say, I can't digest the whey protein and the casein protein. That's because it's not digestible for you. You have to let it digest itself by letting it sit for 45 minutes and let that be a program, even for a week or 2 weeks, a month. Your body will suddenly get digested protein, and you don't have to eat meals even. You won't get hungry if you just do 3 shakes a day and take the minerals. You could do that, and you could also do something I highly recommend for your gut. It's so simple, and that is a high-quality olive oil. Take a tablespoon. I do it every morning. I wake up, I take a tablespoon. In the afternoon, I take a tablespoon. And before bed, about an hour before bed, or if I get hungry after dinner, I'll just take a tablespoon of high-quality olive oil. It's fantastic. And people go, oh, all that fat is going to make you... No, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's food for your body. Your body loves it. Your Mediterranean diet basically has all this great research on it because they're having tons of olive oil. So you don't have to wait for a salad. Just put it in your mouth. And the good quality olive oil is the one that burns the back of your throat. Okay, that's the whole key. And this helps your whole immune system, helps your whole body, helps your digestion. All these things improve, giving yourself this high quality olive oil. It's like a miracle. And it is the essence of the Mediterranean diet, which has had so much good results for people. So those are some thoughts right now. I'll do a whole thing on gut health. I'm just trying to finish this talk. So self-pity. Okay, so we have resentment, and you can see how they lead into each other. This is how I got into, if ever I'm feeling resentful, there's also a block underneath it, which is you're feeling sorry for yourself. Whenever you're a perfectionist, just looking at the blocks, they all go into each other. I got this idea because I would be feeling one, I'd be stuck in blame, and I've realized, well, I'm only blaming because I'm feeling depressed that I'm not getting what I want. And if I'm not getting what I want and I'm stuck in depression, it's because I'm afraid it's going to last forever, and that's anxiety. And if I have so much anxiety, then that will lead to, well, if I can't have what I want, then who cares? So what? And then I go into indifference. And when I'm indifferent, then I'm not being fulfilled. Then I'm going to constantly be dissatisfied, and I go into judgment. And judgment, when I'm judging things as not good enough and whatever, and judging others, then it's hard to make decisions because I care so much about what other people think, because I'm always judging people as good or bad, up or down. I'm good or bad, up and down. So now I'm indecisive. And when you're indecisive, then that leads you to procrastination. Procrastination is always because deep inside you're a perfectionist to some extent. And if you're a perfectionist, you're never getting what you want. Others are getting better. Then suddenly you're going to feel resentful. And when you're feeling resentful, there's always this place of self-pity. So this is how I went down. You can go down the whole list of 12 and realize how they're all a chain. And then you realize the feelings that go with them are a chain. And then you realize the emotions that go with them are a chain. It's just all inside of us, and it all fits together. And it's all like, how do you make sense of, I'm upset? People go, I don't know how to get out of this. I'm stuck. Well, you look at every time you're stuck and you don't have a way out, you look at, okay, what's the block that I'm experiencing? And like I said in the beginning, one block could also lead you to another block. Then that leads you to a feeling, and the feeling can lead you to an emotion. And whenever you're in an emotion, feeling the negative emotion, you look at what is it I'm wanting, and if it doesn't release, then there's a deeper emotion you have to look for. And it gives you kind of a guide of sort of looking for what those emotions might be that you're not aware of. So when you get to self-pity, poor me, You're missing out. You feel left out. Fear of being messed up, there was this word, FOBA or something like that. Anyway, fear of missing out. FOMO, people call it fear of missing out. Anxiety all the time. They're getting that. I don't get that. I don't get this. Feeling anxious all the time. But underneath that is feeling sorry for myself because I'm missing out. So what am I missing out on? What's important to me? What is it I want? What is it I need? See, when you start looking at what is it I want, what is it I need, it kicks into gear this part of the brain, which is often called the reticular activating system. I mentioned it before in terms of when I was looking for a place to lease, all I saw was LA was filled with places that need to be leased. Your brain will start looking for these things. Automatically, you'll find solutions. If you're stressed, then your brain automatically looks for things that are causing you to feel stressed. So if you take the time to feel those, then your brain doesn't need to look for those things to feel those feelings. Instead, you can actually get to the emotion. And when you feel self-pity, the emotion that needs to be healed is the feeling of hurt. I feel hurt. And when you're feeling hurt, you should know, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm feeling hurt. And where am I feeling deprived or excluded, left out? And now I'm going to go over to when you're feeling sorry, the next block is sorry for yourself, is confusion. I just don't understand. I don't understand. This is what you can know if you're in that block is when you're always asking questions. I don't understand. Why would you do this? And how could you do this? I don't get it. I'm doing this. This is where I see so much of the time when women or men, when their partner's not giving them what they want. And here's the feeling that goes with confusion is hopeless. So you're kind of feeling frustrated, but you're also like, I just can't get what I need from my partner. That's the feeling of hopelessness. I can't get what I need. I'll never get what I need. This one man, what he would do, he would just basically go into, I don't understand. Most people think like this. I don't understand. Most people are like this. Or a woman could go, I don't understand. I do this for him and I do this for him and I get nothing back. I don't understand. You say ask for what you want. I ask for what I want all the time and he doesn't give me what I want. I just don't understand. That's the block of confusion. You're feeling hopeless and you're not hearing what I say. When I tell people, you don't just demand more. You don't back up your request with, I'm unhappy. Can't you just do this for me? You have to be happy and then you're asking a little bit more, a little bit more. That's how life goes. You just don't go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. You have to grow. You have to give your partner a chance to feel successful. Then they become a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So when you're confused, when you go into this, I don't know, I don't understand. That's a big one. I just don't understand. And be aware. That's what I'm into this place. I'm into a block of I just don't understand. It's emotionally what I'm feeling. The feeling is I feel hopeless. And when I'm feeling hopeless, what am I scared of? That's where you go to your worst possible thought. Okay, what am I scared of? What am I afraid of, but what am I scared of? Scared is like 4 years old. This is you're in survival mode. I'm scared. It's activating your feelings of childhood. Okay, this is a great question. How to stop getting triggered when partner does things the wrong way. Perfectionism, or the wrong way could mean frustration. You have unrealistic expectations. Whenever they're frustrated, that's judgment. Now here you're into being judgmental. But the key thing is how to stop getting triggered when your partner does things the wrong way and you feel belittled or emasculated when asked to do things better. Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen. Okay, this is once you have tension building in a relationship, that's where these blocks show up. And when you're triggered, there's always blocks. So since we're on this, basically what you're looking at there is your trigger is I'm feeling unappreciated, not being seen for what I do, and now you feel sorry for yourself. Okay, so you're missing out on, what I'm missing out on is a partner who appreciates me and supports me, who's there for me. Can you bring the question back up so I can connect a little bit more with it? There is how to stop getting triggered when partner does things the wrong way, feels belittled. Okay, now I understand it better. So keep it there. He feels belittled and emasculated when asked to do things better. That's right. Stop asking him to do things better. That's what's gonna, if you don't want to trigger your partner, try not giving him, pointing out what he's doing the wrong way. Just let him be himself. I mean, people just don't know what love is. Let them be themselves. Like today, I was triggered. Okay, last night I got triggered for a few minutes and it was like, we're taking care of two other dogs for friends. So I have our dog, and the reason we have our dog is my wife wanted a dog. And I said, okay, all right, we'll get a dog. And now she's decided she doesn't like that dog so much. And now we got these two other dogs that we're babysitting for that she decided to do. And I went, okay. Turns out I'm the one who cleans up the poop. I'm the one who goes and takes them for walks. But because she forgets, so she's off doing something, even though she has agreed to do this. But hey, I'm not going to be a victim in this. And this becomes a way I can score points with my wife. And it doesn't take that much more time for me. So I'm happy to carry that burden a little bit. So then we get these two cute little dogs, and our dog's bigger that she picked out. Now we got these cute little dogs. She says, I want a little dog. I want a little dog. So she buys a little dog. So she's got to take out another dog. I know she doesn't take care of these dogs. I end up being the one who does it. But then I realized, okay, I'm triggered by that because now I'm going to be stuck with the responsibility. So that's my trigger. That's where I'm feeling sorry for myself. I feel like I'm missing out, of a partner who would just not put this extra burden on me. There'll be some other blocks there. I'm immediately blaming here. I'm also feeling a little anxious about it. There's no doubt about that. So I have to process my feelings on it, and I explore my feelings, and I connect with them. Then I get logical, and I go, look, this is another way that my wife will feel loved by me is when I'm taking care of these dogs, and she just wants this cute little dog this time. So we agree. I said, okay, all right, we'll do it. And so she drives off to get the little dog, and then she sends me a call just to say, I want two. She says, look at these cute little dogs. I just want two of them. I go, all right, but remember, I'm not going to feed them. You're going to feed them, right? You're going to take care of them. You'll take them on walks. And then she says, well, my son will take them on walks. I said, okay, but don't, you're not going to look to me. Now, I will eventually end up doing it, and then I'll get extra points for doing it. And it's not that big of a deal in my life when I can do it. When I can't do it, I won't do it. So you work these things out, the little parts of life, but I see this is something that she would really like. She made a mistake picking the biggest dog. She wanted a big dog. It was started out little, but it would become a big dog. And that she's impulsive, and I like that part of her too. And part of it's a mirror of me. I've done the same mistakes in my life, so I see it as a mirror of me. So I'm giving her what I would want, which is, sure, we'll go ahead and do it. So I felt my shutdown, and I let it go because I know how to process. I can identify, okay, what am I feeling? What's my fear around this? What's my disappointment? What am I angry about? And let it go and look at the positive, which is more important than dogs or anything like that. What I want is a happy wife. I know my values. I want happy wife. I want a happy life. I want love. I want to make love. And I know how to do it, which is to make a woman feel that she's special and she's cared for. And it's another thing that she needs. She thought she needed this other type of dog. Now she's learned that what she really needs is this. And so I've made peace with it all. I made peace with the dog that it's not what she wanted because that's what we got the dog as she wanted it. Now she's going to have this dog. No big deal. It's like being able to look at things from the negative side of it, then looking at the positive side of it. So back to that question, is what she's doing is giving him advice. He's doing things the wrong way. Stop doing it. It just doesn't work. Why would I bang my head against the door that doesn't open? Once you realize this is a door that doesn't open, and you can always say, would you like my advice on that? Do you want any feedback on that? He says, and it's okay for you to say no without offending me. You have to tell your partner, I'm going to ask you times, do you want my advice on that? Because I've learned men don't like to have people telling them what they do wrong. So, it's not like you're his boss. It's not like you're his manager at work. At work, you have to accept that. There's a hierarchy. You're supposed to be told this isn't working. And even then, you can do it in a kind way. But you got your wife over here telling you you're doing it wrong, You can basically say, if he does things, he did it wrong. Okay, not while he's doing it. We're not talking about that. It's just when he's done something wrong, you want to say, you should have done it this way. And when people ask me questions, it's good to give an example specific, because I can give you the exact words. You made peace with the dog. I sure did. And I love the dog because I made peace. I was able to experience my frustration, my disappointment. Now I'm responsible for the dog, and if it does make my wife happy, now it doesn't make my wife happy, but it does. And looked at the positive. What's the positive of this? It forces me to go on 2 walks a day because I tend to be sedentary, looking at my computer. I have to get out. My dog will start barking at me if I don't take her on a walk. So it's simple as that. I have to do it. And when I do it, I go, this is good for me. I like doing this. Okay. So back with the blocks. We're almost done with the blocks. And here we have already done, I think, 2 hours. So the last one is confusion. And when you're feeling, we had self-pity, then there's confusion. That's where you're saying, I don't understand. You're feeling hopeless. Get in touch with your being scared. And that is 4 years old. That's 6 years old. That's an 8-year-old. Go back in time, realize that, this isn't making me scared. It's when I was a child, I was scared about something. And what am I scared of? And always in a relationship, on the surface, I'm scared I'll never get what I want. I'm scared I can't get the support I need. I'm scared I'll make him angry. That's walking on tiptoes in your relationship. So again, you process the emotion of scared. And with every emotion, whenever you have, I'm scared, you also want to go to, according to this chart, you'd want to go down to what am I feeling ashamed about? And then you go up to the top again. What am I angry about? What am I sad about? So you go through 4 levels, or you could just go right into the standard. I'm scared. Well, what am I not liking? What am I angry about? What is it I feel disappointed about? What I'm sad about? What I'm concerned about? What I'm afraid of? And what I feel embarrassed about? What do I regret? But when you have confusion and somebody walks around confusion, always they have a level of anxiety and I'm scared. And underneath that is the feeling of shame. They don't admit to it. I feel ashamed that my partner is this. I feel ashamed that I don't have that. I feel ashamed other people have this. Anytime there's that jealousy we talked about, underneath the hurt, underneath that is I'm scared I'll never have it. And because I'm scared I never have it, I feel ashamed. Why don't I have it? I feel unworthy. And so we get down to shame. That's underneath being scared. That goes with the block of guilt. So you go down the block, you got, I'm confused, I don't understand. What is it you're hiding from? What is you're not looking at? As a part of you feels guilty, but you don't, all of your uncertainty and confusion, your confusion is because you don't see what you did wrong. See, it's like a child is being punished. They don't know what they did wrong. Or my parents are unhappy. Suddenly you feel guilty, but you shouldn't feel guilty. It's irrational to feel guilty, but you do. So you're constantly going, I don't know why I feel guilty. I shouldn't feel guilty. It's not my fault. And then we go to it's not my fault. Then you go up to another block, which is it's their fault. So we get caught up in the blame game, because we don't want to look at ourselves, and we don't want to look at ourselves because we don't understand what we're doing wrong. This is why this is so helpful to realize this book, is to realize if you're not getting what you want, you're always doing something wrong. And you need to become aware of that so you can change it. What about when someone is being the victim? Okay, it's always good if you can let me know if you're a man or a woman when you're asking the question. When a man is being a victim, just walk out of the room. Don't entertain any conversation with him. It's just so disgusting to a woman. Man, you have no idea how wimpy and disgusting and not attractive and what a turnoff you are whenever you ever express negative emotion complaining about your life. I mean, you can make a little complaint here as long as there's no negative emotion associated, no charge. It's just like, oh my gosh, today they forgot to do this, darn. And then you let it go very quickly. That's not a victim. Victim is engaged, and I'm stuck in this place and I'm never going to be happy. That's all of these negative emotions, basically, all of them are states of victimhood. Anytime you're in any block, you're being a victim on some level, and you're stuck in that place. All these negative emotions I talked about is different degrees of being a victim. It depends on how stuck you are in it. But if you're blaming, you're a victim. If you're feeling depressed, you're a victim. If you're anxious, you're being a victim of your future, what you don't want to happen. If you're indifferent, you're a victim. All of these comes from negative emotions. All negative emotions are linked to being a victim. I'm not getting what I want. I'm powerless to get it. Some are just more conscious of that or others. But the last block is guilt. And so I'm feeling guilty. And this is my pet peeve with it's kind of a common knowledge today that, everybody feeling guilt, you can release it so easily because guilt is not shame. Guilt is just, I did something wrong, but I'm not wrong. Well, the thing that allows you to release the pain and the stuckness that goes with feeling guilty is to get to the hot coal. The hot coal is I feel ashamed. And I feel ashamed. It's so painful to feel shame that your brain immediately says, how can I think differently in order to release that and let it go and restore self-forgiveness and innocence? But it's just simply becoming aware of these parts of us that are not loving. And we are, as human beings, loving. And that's what shame is to realize that I can be better than what I just said. I can be better than the situation I'm in. Or I feel ashamed when I can't solve something and I wish I could. And now I basically forgive myself because I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to demand so much of myself. But before you can heal shame, you have to be aware of shame. And that is self-love, is when you can not live up to what you think you should be and feel ashamed that I did that, then love yourself and forgive yourself. So it's not that I walk around feeling ashamed all the time. It's when you feel ashamed and know that if you're feeling guilt, you're off and you're stuck feeling guilt, I feel really bad, then I'm feeling ashamed. And it's confusing because, let's just say I'm not properly dressed for the party. I'm going to feel embarrassment, and I feel ashamed that I look different from everybody. So it's like I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just different from everybody, and I feel ashamed. And then what I do is I have to forgive myself. You didn't wear the right thing. You're not here. You're still lovable. You deserve to be loved just the way you are. And then change your behavior so you don't have to feel ashamed, or change your thinking. But usually when we if we're stuck in feeling the emotion of shame, we have to go back up and realize that we need to find the part of us that's blaming others for being judgmental of us and being critical of us. So there you get part of this chart, which is good to have the chart. It's good to learn this. This is what happens when you become a Mars-Venus coach. This is how you get Mars-Venus coaching, is we take you based upon whatever's holding you back in your life. We help you identify the block and then give you and help process your emotions on this, so that you can also eventually learn to do it yourself. So here's another question. How can a woman increase estrogen when she's already in so much fear because of life circumstances, even if she has a loving man? Okay, this is such an important question. Okay, what happens is when you're with a loving man, this is the problem. It comes up almost every time I make love to my wife to some degree, is she'll connect when she's had many, many orgasms. She feels so safe. It will bring up her childhood feelings. And her childhood feelings were that her father would punish her. And so she's afraid of losing my love. To her, I'm a diamond. Okay, I'm a diamond. And, if you wear a diamond out in public and it's a very expensive one, you're going to be afraid somebody's going to steal it. If you have a cheap diamond, if you have a fake diamond, you're not worried. So this is part of the paradox of life, is when your partner's really wonderful, you're afraid of losing them. You're afraid of losing love. You're afraid of not being good enough. And then if you can't feel that and let that come up and let it go, then what happens is a lot of women do this, is that they think men are their husband's so wonderful, or they depend on him for so much, makes them feel weak, and then too dependent. Then what they do is they want to bring him down, make him less important, complain to him, criticize him, push him down. It's an automatic defensive reaction. When somebody makes you feel down, you want to push them down. And that's pretty much most of the time when you feel your brain is filled with complaints, you're really just feeling afraid, you're feeling scared, and you're also feeling ashamed that I don't have more. And so it's an irrational thought, okay? It is irrational. But you have to recognize all of our negative beliefs that give rise to negative emotions are partially irrational. Some truth to them, but they're irrational. And you can just look at this feeling. I mean, it was like my wife was all enthusiastic the other day. She visited some friends, and they were now buying houses to make money. And my wife, I want to go buy that. I want to buy that house. I want to buy that house, and we could run that house. It's another city. Like the last thing I want to do is rent a house in another city, whatever there. And right now I can't afford to just go put the money down on that house right now. I've got too many other things I'm responsible for. So I felt a wave of shame. I felt shame that I couldn't give my wife everything that she wants. And I just let the wave, I just felt the shame. I felt the shame. And then I just love myself. I say, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything. I forgive you for the making mistakes you've done in the past. Because in the past, there was a time in my life I could have easily bought that house. So I feel regret that I didn't. If there was a time I wanted to buy my whole neighborhood around me, and then I could take care of it, rent it out, whatever, and I didn't. And so I regret that. And so, but then when I don't have enough money to do what I want now, and that'd be something I want to do, I'd like to make her happy. And then I realized I could feel a wave of shame that I can't give her what she needs. And then I forgive myself, and I'm back to balance. So this is when you're good at just feeling a negative emotion and letting it go. But at other times, when I've lost money or usually for me, it was like mistakes with money, I feel ashamed. Then to process that, I feel shame. I go back to a time in my past where I felt ashamed. And then I let myself feel the other emotions associated with it, which is if you're being punished, let's just look at that one for a second. When you feel punished, usually you feel ashamed. I should be better. The way you get out of that is to feel angry that you're punishing me. I'm angry that you're making me bad. I'm angry you're mistreating me. This is where people get really stuck in low self-esteem in cultures where you can't get mad at your parents. And certainly it's not safe to get mad at your parents, but when we're healing our past, we need to listen to that part of us that's feeling shame, and then allow it to feel anger, allow it to feel sad, like what you're missing, and allow it to feel the fear that goes along with that. And then get back in touch with what you were wanting at that time, and then you give it to yourself. So let's just finish up today with a little guided meditation with all this talk. And I've really gone overtime, but hey, this will be a fun exercise based on all that we've just talked about. And this will take, I'll try to do it in 5 minutes. So don't do this if you're driving a car or anything, but this eyes closed process. So let's close our eyes, and it helps you sort of connect to what's going on inside. Notice how you're feeling in your body. And take a deep breath with me and exhale. Breathe in and breathe out a little longer. And breathe in to the count of 4. And exhale to the count of 6. And breathe in to the count of 4. And breathe out to the count of 6. And breathe in to the count of 4. And breathe out to the count of 6. And since that was a topic we're just on in the blocks, we'll just look at that particular block. Let me remind myself, what was that? Feeling guilty. Recall a time in your past when you were punished. A time when someone was disapproving of you. A time when you felt guilty. A time when you felt bad. Now, as soon as I ask myself, when did I feel bad or guilty? I was in 6th grade. That's about 12 years old. And what happened for me is I felt guilty because it was a math test, and I just wanted to write on my palm the formulas that you would use to solve a problem. And so I had written a few formulas on my palm, and then it was taking the test. I looked down to my palm to look at the formula, which was cheating. And the teacher saw that I did that, and she came over to me and she took my hand silently and she opened it up to see that I had been cheating. And then she put it down. And then after the test was over, she said, I have an announcement to make. There are no longer the 3 Johns, but only 2. And there were 3 Johns in the class that were really good at math. And so I had a reputation to uphold. So I wanted to do the very best. And so I put the formulas down so I could use them. Anyway, I felt so much shame, so much shame. That's just one example of something that happened, and it wasn't like I was even being punished. It was just being disapproved of. Tremendously embarrassed, but deeper than that, ashamed that I was caught. And now I can feel that shame. I go back into my past. What happened? What did I do? Well, I kept it a secret. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't want anybody to ever find out. So I let myself feel that shame. Now, I would go back to that if I thought about something in my life, like I gave you an example of my wife wanting to buy that house, and I said, well, I really can't afford that now, maybe soon. I felt ashamed inside that I couldn't just give her what she needed. I couldn't be the person I want to be. So I go back in time. So for you, go back to a time where you made a mistake, either you're punished or someone disapproved of you, or you did something that hurt someone. You didn't live up to your expectations. And let yourself just feel, I feel bad. I feel ashamed. Go into that feeling right now. Give yourself permission to feel that. And think about who's making you feel shame. Give yourself permission to say, well, I shouldn't have to feel shame. I deserve to be loved. And give yourself permission to be angry. And I'm angry that you're punishing me. I'm angry that you said those things to me. I'm angry that you don't love me anymore for that. I'm angry you're criticizing me for that. I'm angry you don't forgive me. I'm angry you put pressure on me. I'm angry that I feel I have to be perfect for you. I'm angry. I can't talk to you. I can't tell you this. And now I'm thinking as that little boy in 6th grade, I'm feeling ashamed and I'm feeling angry at the teacher for disapproving of me, for catching me, for making me feel bad. I feel angry that I have so much pressure to be the best. And I'm going to let myself now shift to something more personal. I'm going to feel angry. I'm angry at my dad. I'm angry that you make grades so important. I feel angry that I feel so pressured to be perfect. I shouldn't have to feel perfect. I deserve to be loved without having to be the best in the class. I don't have to be one of the 3 Johns. I can just be myself, and I deserve to be loved. And I feel sad that I was caught and I disappointed you. And imagine if I tell you that you'd be so disappointed, you'd be so sad, and I'm sorry, I feel sad too. But most of all, it's underneath all my shame, underneath the anger, underneath the sadness that I got caught and wasn't good enough. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to tell you. I'm afraid to let you know that I did that and I was cheating and I'm bad for that. And I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I cheated. And I feel afraid that you won't love me. I'm afraid you'll see me as not good enough. I'm afraid you won't think I'm wonderful anymore. And then you ask yourself, what is it that you want? So feeling your shame, feel what you want. I want to be loved just the way I am. I want to be free to be myself and not have so much pressure. I don't want to have to push too hard. I just want to relax. I want to be myself, and I want you to love me. So now I'm imagining talking to my mother. I want you just to love me, and my father. I want you to love me just the way I am. I deserve to be loved just the way I am. I want you to forgive me. I want to let go of this feeling of guilt, and I want to feel forgiven and loved. I want another chance. I won't do that again. Now, I've said what I want after exploring some emotions. Now I just imagine a parent hearing my feelings and saying loving things. Imagine your mother or father, if they could hear your pain, and just say, I forgive you, I love you, everything's going to be okay. You don't have to be perfect. You deserve my love always. I appreciate that you were trying to be your best, and you just made a mistake, that's all. We all make mistakes. Even when you make mistakes, you deserve a redo. And I'm proud of you for wanting to not cheat in the future. I'm proud of you for wanting to be better. We all make mistakes, and I love you no matter what. You deserve to be loved just the way you are. And now as you imagine that parent giving you that love and support, cross your arms over your chest and look deep inside your heart to the part of you that is like a child, and talk to yourself and say something loving. Something like, I love you just the way you are. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I won't punish you. I'm not going to take away my love. I support you. You're lovable just the way you are. You're smart. You're capable. I believe in you. You're here in this world for a reason, and I'm always here for you. I love you. And just feel how good it feels to love yourself, to forgive yourself, and to feel peace. And in this moment of peace, know that you're here in this world for a reason. One of the reasons is to grow and to love yourself more. And as you love yourself more, you can give more love in this world. And the light of love is what's missing. And with every mistake, we have a chance to let more love into this world as we love ourselves. And find a very special message to give to yourself. An affirmation. Just be as simple as, it's okay to make mistakes. I'll always love you. And feeling that, how it feels to be loved, loving yourself, and imagine being loved by your parent. Imagine how it feels to express how you feel and feel peace. And now you can open your eyes, and that's how you can process your emotions in a counseling session with a Mars-Venus coach. You can also go into my Mars-Venus app. It also helps you to explore what your feelings are as you express your feelings to a parent. You imagine your childhood when you felt that way, and then you write a letter. It writes a feeling letter to your parent just to give you ideas of how to express your feelings. And then it will write out the response that a loving parent would give you. And then it writes out how you probably would have felt if you'd received that response, which is, I feel peace, I feel grateful, I feel happy, I'm glad to be here. And with that, I wish you all a lovely day, and thank you so much for joining me as we explored a big subject, which is this chart, which is why it's hard to, really go into the depth of this, is why we have longer courses on this, on how to process your feelings. This is the book. It's called How to Get What You Want and Want What You Have. It's a very profound book. It has It talks about how to process your past. You identify your block and you link it. Your block right now, link it to the past. Write a feeling letter, write a response letter, and write a connection letter. And the connection letter is after you imagine getting the response, then you just check in. Like, how does that make me feel? How would it have made you feel if you'd gotten that response? And then you're actually feeling those feelings. You're creating a situation for your mind to feel positive feelings. And then it's more authentic. And as you raise your frequency in this way, then the outer world begins to adjust itself to resonate with your frequency. And your frequency, as your awareness starts to pull into your awareness the support that you need. You can look at it either way. You just see the opportunities and choose the better direction to take to achieve your goals. So once again, thank you everybody for joining me in today's talk on what's holding you back and not the reason you think. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Q&A with Dr. Gray. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. PST and 2 p.m. EST.